There's a moment after it happens, after you finish, after you let go inside her. And maybe it felt amazing. Maybe it felt like connection. But the question is, what did it mean to you? Probably release, relief, a high, a comfort. But to her, it can feel like the most vulnerable moment of her life. When a woman lets you release inside her, it's never just sex. It's a quiet contract spoken in the language of trust. And if you're the kind of man who doesn't understand that, wait, you might walk away untouched, but she walks away bleeding. Not physically, emotionally. Because for some women, that act is sacred. And for others, it's how they try to feel loved in a world that has taught them to trade their bodies for 15 minutes of attention. You see, when you release inside her, she's not just holding you in her body, she's holding the imprint of your decision, the echo of your intention. And if that intention was selfish, reckless, or meaningless, you didn't just leave fluid behind. You left confusion. You left pain. You left the memory of a man who didn't value the gift he was given. This isn't about shame. It's about waking up to the emotional truth behind what we call hookups. Because behind every climax, there's a consequence. And if you want to be more than just another man she regrets, then keep listening. What society calls casual, the body calls sacred. You've probably heard it before. It's just sex, no strings attached. We're just having fun. But here's the truth no one tells you, especially in the male spaces flooded with red pill rage or hookup bravado. The body doesn't do casual, especially not a woman's body. When a woman opens herself to you, physically and emotionally, her body reacts on a primal, deeply chemical level. Hormones like oxytocin and dopamine flood her system during and after sex. These aren't just feel good chemicals, they're bonding agents. Oxytocin is literally called the love hormone. It's designed to forge trust, to create emotional glue between two people. And when you release inside her, you're not just climaxing, you're sending her body a signal. I'm safe. You can trust me. We're bonded. But what happens when that signal is a lie? What happens when your intentions were selfish, your commitment non-existent, and your emotional presence absent? She crashes. She questions herself. And often, she starts to feel the most dangerous thing a woman can feel after sex: emptiness. That emptiness, it's not weakness, it's not drama. It's biology reacting to betrayal. Not just from you, but from a culture that taught her to suppress her feelings to keep a man's attention. You see, for men, the act often ends in relief. But for women, it can begin a storm, a quiet unraveling. Because even if she played it cool, deep down, she wondered, will he still talk to me tomorrow? Was I just a moment, or did I matter? Did I just give a part of myself to someone who only wanted the thrill, not the connection? When you understand this, truly understand it, you stop using starts as a game and start seeing it as what it really is: a mirror of your character. The moment you release inside a woman is the moment you either leave her feeling valued or violated. There is no in between. So ask yourself, next time you're tempted to chase pleasure without purposely, do you really understand what you're taking from her? And are you the kind of man who can carry the weight of that answer? You didn't just finish, you left a fingerprint. We live in a world that trivializes the most sacred moments. And nowhere is that more obvious than in how casually we talk about sex. Just smash and bounce. No strings. She's just a link. But let me say something many men never hear from other men's. You don't walk away clean. Every time you release inside a woman, you leave more than DNA. You leave your energy, your presence, your intent. You leave the echo of the kind of man you are, even when you're no longer around. This isn't some spiritual fluff. It's real, because sex is never just physical, not for her, and deep down, not even for you. Your energy, your mindset in that moment stays with her. If you were gentle, intentional, respectful, she'll carry that as a memory of safety. But if you were careless, distant, or just chasing a high, she might carry that as a wound, a scar that bleeds into her next relationship. You think you're just having fun, but for her, it's reverberation, sometimes months later, sometimes years. And this is where most men go wrong. They assume if there's no baby, there's no consequence. But the real consequence is often invisible. It's the way her trust fractures, the way her standards lower, The way she starts seeing men not as protectors, but predators. You might not remember her name a year from now, but she might remember you as the man who made her feel like nothing after giving you everything. That's not just about sex, that's about impact. So ask yourself, every time you lie down with a woman, what are you depositing into her? Is it just pleasure or pain? Is it just semen or your soul? Because if you're the kind of man who only thinks about what you're getting in the moment, you're not just leaving DNA behind, you're leaving destruction. And one day, you'll meet a woman who sees through that. And if you're not careful, you'll lose someone who could have changed your life because you never learned how to honor what you left behind. You may forget the night. She'll never forget the feeling. You ever wonder why some women get quiet after sex? Why their smile fades or they pull the sheets tighter like they're covering more than just their body? It's because what you did to her physically now lives emotionally. And the truth is, women may forget the playlist, the time, even your name, but they will never forget how you made them feel in that moment, especially the moment after. You see, sex, real sex, doesn't end at climax. For a woman, the most powerful moment isn't when you're inside her, it's when you leave her. Do you kiss her forehead or grab your phone? Do you hold her or roll over? Do you see her as a person or just a body? Because that tiny window after you release, that's when her heart is wide open. That's when she's listening without words. That's when your presence or absence will tattoo itself into her memory. And let me be clear, even if she told you, this is just a hookup, even if she said, I'm not looking for anything serious, her heart still notices the truth in how you treat her after. Because her body hoped for safety, even if her words didn't ask for it. You may think it's done, but that moment is when her questions begin. Did I matter to him? Am I just another body? Did I just give too much to someone who gave me the bare minimum? And these questions aren't just about you. They become about her. They shape her self worth. They stain how she sees love, intimacy, and even herself. So listen to me, man to man, you are always leaving something behind, not just in her body, in her heart. And when she looks back, she might not remember the details, but she will remember the feeling. And that feeling will either be the reason she heals or the reason she breaks. Be the kind of man she remembers with peace, not pain. Because in the end, it's not about what you said. It's about how she felt when all the noise was gone and only silence remained. If she doesn't know where you're leading her into pain. There's a dangerous game being played in modern relationships, and it goes like this: get close, connect deeply, then vanish emotionally. Or worse, stay but stay confused, undefined, unclear, directionless. And as a man, you might not feel the danger right away. You might even convince yourself, I told her I'm not looking for anything serious. But words don't always match behavior. Because your actions, your energy, your intimacy says something very different. You hold her close. You text her at midnight. You open up. You listen. You release inside her. You make her feel like it means something. But then you leave her drifting in the dark. No labels, no clarity, no compass. And here's the truth: most men avoid connection without direction is a form of emotional manipulation. Not always intentional, but always impactful. Because women feel deeply. They attach through presence, not promises. They bond through consistency, not contracts. And when you give them connection without intention, you don't just waste their time. You slowly erode their self-trust. They start questioning themselves. Am I imagining this? Did I move too fast? Why does he act like he cares, but never defines what we are? And brother, that confusion, that's your responsibility. Not because you owe her a relationship, but because if you're bold enough to enter her body, you better be clear enough to not leave her lost in yours. So, what's the answer? Decide who you are and what you want before you invite her in. If all you want is physical, be honest, not just with her, but with yourself. If you're unsure, don't let your indecision disguise itself as love. Because when men lead with connection but offer no direction, they leave women spinning, wondering what they did wrong, when really it was your silence that did the most damage. So let this be your wake up call. If you're not ready to go anywhere with her, stop pretending like you're already on the road. Just because she agreed doesn't mean she didn't hope. This is the line that men use to escape accountability. She knew what it was. She agreed to keep it casual. She said she wasn't looking for anything serious either. And sure, maybe she did say that. Maybe the words were mutual. But let me ask you something. Do you know what she felt? Because words can lie. Words can be armor. Words can be survival tactics in a dating world where vulnerability often gets punished. A lot of women say, I'm cool with casual, not because they are, but because they think it's the only way to be close to you. Because when a woman starts to care, but senses that you won't stick around if she gets too emotional, she'll play it cool. She'll downplay her truth. She'll say, I'm fine with just sex, while silently praying you'll choose to stay after. That's not manipulation. That's self protection. Because this culture has taught her that being soft gets you ghosted, that wanting more gets you labeled needy or crazy. So she shrinks her needs just to be chosen. And that's where your illusion begins. You think because she said, I'm fine, you're in the clear. But what you're really doing is ignoring her humanity. Because deep down, most women, even the strongest, most independent ones, want to be loved, not just touched, not just slept with, loved, held, understood. So when you release inside her and then walk away emotionally and justify it with, she knew what it was, you're not being honest. You're being convenient. You're using her words as a shield to ignore the truth you felt in her eyes, in her vulnerability, in her body when she gave herself to you. A real man doesn't just ask, what did she say? He asks, what did she feel? And then he has the courage to honor that. So before you say, she knew what it was, ask yourself, do you know what you are? Are you a man who leads with integrity or one who hides behind technicalities? Because her silence doesn't make you innocent. It just reveals how well you've learned to avoid responsibility. A real man doesn't just take, he leaves her with something worth remembering. Every woman has a moment, a quiet moment, when she looks back and asks herself, was he worth it? Not just worth her time, but her body, her trust, her vulnerability. And here's the truth: every man becomes a memory. Some become regrets, some become lessons. But a very few, become peace. Not because they stayed forever, but because of how they showed up while they were there. You see, in a world where women are constantly judged, used, and discarded for sport, a man who chooses to honor her, even when he doesn't stay, becomes rare. He becomes unforgettable. Not because of his looks or status or game, but because of his character. When you release inside a woman, you're not just sharing a physical experience. You're entering the most sacred part of her. You're being given access to a space where pain, joy, trauma, and dreams live side by side. You might be there for minutes, but her body remembers forever. So, what kind of memory are you? Did you leave her feeling ashamed or safe, used or respected, like an object or a woman? Because the man she's glad she gave herself to isn't perfect, but he's honest, present, intentional. He doesn't vanish after he gets what he wants. He communicates clearly, even if it's uncomfortable. He holds space for her emotions, even if he doesn't share them. He makes her feel like a person, not a performance. And when it ends, if it ends, he doesn't ghost, blame, or disappear. He leaves with dignity, and he leaves her with dignity too. Because being a high value man isn't about how many women you sleep with. It's about how many women feel healed, not harmed by your presence. So be the man she doesn't have to recover from. Be the man who made her feel seen, even if just once. Be the man she remembers with softness in her heart, not pain in her chest. That is legacy. That is manhood. And that is love, even if it wasn't forever.